You're rolling.
I'm here today with my friend Romeo Downer, who recently had a birthday. And for a birthday tribute, I thought we'd make a video that maybe we could do a little chronicling of how old were you the last
90 years.
90? Oh, that I couldn't find a birthday card for 90, so I got him 330s.
I got one birthday card for 90. It's sitting up there.
I found one. We were greeted with a gift that I've admired for a long time, and I think there's a story that goes along with this, isn't there?
Yeah.
You,
This rock, usually called a basketball rock, and there were some other rocks in the background that I didn't put in, but this one in particular, I always stood up there because for many, many years, thousands of years, the waves have cut away on the base of the rock, so the rock stands there as if it's going to fall any minute, and I never played under it, I never swam under it at all. I stayed away from it because I always thought that any minute that rock is going to fall. But it's still there.
Yeah. Well, it's great. Thank you. This means a lot because I've heard that story before, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so the rock is still there. I visit it every time I go to Barbados. I like to go and take a look at the rock, but it still stay away from all of it.
That's right. I wouldn't come close to it. Yeah. But your childhood, I'm somewhat familiar with it, but I like it when
Yeah,
you.
tell me about it because I might not remember.
Okay. You were born at an early age. I know that.
You're ready? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I never thought of that.
In a very beautiful spot in the Caribbean. Yeah. And you care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, in the Caribbean, an island called Barbados, a place I love, and I grew up very simply. I thought I was doing well uh, until I came to the United States and said, "My goodness, that's really a poor little boy." Although I thought life was wonderful. It never occurred to me that I didn't have much. I used to build my own toys, and we used to play a lot of times on the beach, and that was fun. I used to do some crazy things on the beach. One of the things we used to do is we used to go out on a rock. We used to call the round table, we call it, and we would swim out to the rock. Well, I shouldn't say we because I didn't swim. I didn't know how to swim, but I had this tire, this inner tube rather, a truck in a tube. So I would get back and sit back on the tube and paddle my way out to the rock while the others were swimming.
I'm guessing that's how you got to the United States.
Could have been. Yeah, so we would always paddle up there and sit down and play around. It was a flat rock, And one day the guys got envious of me, I suppose, because I was the one fighting my way out there. And they took the tube away from me.
Oh, gee.
Okay? And I'm sitting up there in the rock, and they're gone. They're now on land, and I'm sitting up there alone. And you talk about scared because by then the sun started to go down. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I jumped off the rock and said, look, I'm going to get in somehow. I'm not going to stay over here. Mm-hmm. And I paddled and I hit I swung my arms and my feet and everything and was barely moving. But at least I was floating.
Yeah.
I did that for ages, it seemed to me. And then there came a point where I was so tired that I just dropped. I said, look, I can't do this anymore. And I dropped, and the water hit me at my knees. In other words, I could walk.
You could walk around. Wow.
But I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, what happened is right around the rock was deep,
But
in a few feet, you could actually walk. But I didn't know this. I didn't want to take a chance.
That's incredible.
But luckily, they were there, man. They were laughing their head off, man. Oh, they had a good time laughing at me. But at least I think I wouldn't drown. They'd probably still come to save me.
Did you tell your dad and mom about that?
I told my aunt, my mother, but they weren't impressed.
So, so your dad worked. Where did your dad work?
My dad in Panama. My dad was not from Barbados. He was from Panama.
Oh.
My mother went over to Panama for many years because there wasn't any. She couldn't find. She was a stenographer, and she couldn't find any work in Barbados. So she went to Panama, where they were building the Deepwater Harbor. She had work over there. She stayed there for a long time, and she met my father there, who was a Panamanian. Mm-hmm. And then, she came back here. My dad stayed there to work, and she came and went, in Barbados. I was actually raised by my aunt, her sister, who to me was my mother. Sure. So she supported us from Panama, and life was good.
Now, the school system. I think you told me once that the schooling system under
British
rule.
British system.
It was something that they valued, and as a result, education was.
Education is very, very important. You wouldn't know from me. I'm not a good education in that, but the education system in the Caribbean and in Barbados is very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I told you one time, it was about 98%
literacy.
Literacy, yeah.
Oh.
But when I left, it became 100.
100%. You're a statistical drag.
Right, yeah. I was.
Oh, but Barbados also is a very spiritual place.
Yeah.
I read something about
it. Was.
So you had a pretty spiritual background.
Exactly. I grew up in a church called Pilgrim Holiness.
Pilgrim Holiness.
And that was my life because, I went to Sunday school there and all my friends were there. We would kind of party together. Mm-hmm. But there were several churches over the island.
Now, the guys that took your inner tube, did they have to confess or anything?
No, that was just a joke. They don't care, man. That passed like nothing. It wasn't me. I thought about it.
Yeah.
That was a passing joke.
So you started getting this desire to maybe come to America?
Yes, I did. Because I saw some magazines that had life looking so great. They say, maybe it's a place I should go. And then my cousin, whom I grew up with in Barbados, same house, which was my aunt's daughter, and she was a registered nurse. Well, she had just gotten her nursing degree, and she got a chance to come to the United States, to New York, because a lot of her friends who had also graduated went to New York. So, she asked me if I wanted to go, and I said, why not? So I just packed one day, and she had everything made out easy. She had paid a lawyer. Of course, it was not as difficult now as but it was not so difficult then. But she had paid a lawyer to do all the work, and then it was so easy to me, and it wasn't that easy. She did the work, but she was only about 4 years older than I was.
Did you ever ask how you got your name? Which is...
No, I think my mother saw some play with Romeo and Juliet, and she fell in love with it, and had me stuck with that name.
I think you've done well with it.
Well, now I don't care. But growing up as a boy, oh man, I had a hard time.
Yeah.
The phrase I hear over and over and over. Hey, Romy, where is Juliet?
Oh, God.
And then it's so funny to me that people say that and laugh, and it's the first time I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing it all the time.
Yeah, you realize I've never said that, right?
And I don't care now.
No.
It's okay. No, you've never said it.
Yeah. Now, before we leave the Caribbean here, you have a bucket list. If I remember, in that bucket list, your goal was to visit every island in the Caribbean.
Yeah. That was one of the things I wanted to do.
And you achieved it.
I achieved it. I shouldn't say every island because they have some islands that are so small that nobody even knows about them. It's there. The reason why I happen to see them, visit some of them, is because I had a friend. Well, he was an acquaintance in Florida that bought a boat, and he wanted some people who knew some. By then, I had a boat. I owned a boat, which I loved. I always loved boating, and he asked me if we could all get together and take the boat from Florida to St. Lucia, where he grew up. Yeah. His island was St. Lucia. So I said, yeah. So that's how we got in minutes. That was a rough ride. I'll never forget that. That was a rough ride. I remember I was on the bunk of that, but I don't want to get away from your point. Don't let me lead you astray. But I was on the bow of the boat, and it was very, very rough, especially coming down on the east coast of Puerto Rico. Man, that thing was so rough. And it was bouncing and bouncing, and sometimes the ship would drop, leaving me in midair, and then it come back up to meet me, bang, and that was the hardest thing. I'm in midair most of the time. But it didn't last long, but it was rough. And then we came through all these little islands that ships do not go to because it's too shallow. Mm-hmm. So, and big ships won't go to, but this boat was able to go. Wow. So I got a chance to see some of the nicest people, man. I love to travel because the people I meet is so fascinating, because it's so different. Some of them are different from anything that I ever experienced. And that's the way in my life. I travel all over the world. And what I love about it is meeting people.
I like the story about Jamaica when you couldn't understand what exactly they were saying.
Right.
But when they laughed,
I laughed. And when they frowned, I frowned. So we got along well. So Jamaica is one place that has an accent that's very difficult, even for Caribbean people, because it's so different.
Wow. But
now, in this new modern age, it's not so difficult to understand as it was then, because in the Caribbean, even in my island Barbados, the accents were different because people didn't travel. If you were born and grew up on one end of the island, you never came to town on our side, so we never got together to get our accents right. So that was funny. So even in Jamaica, even now they have some crazy talk in Jamaica.
The Bajan is Barbados. Yeah.
Barbados.
But you have Eastern Bajan.
But I really don't, except if you grew up in the thing is only 166 square miles. Yeah. It's small. But what I'm saying, it's hard to fathom it, though. I'm saying that people who grew up in one area didn't travel very much. Yeah. You could grow up on a little farm there or something and never travel.
Wow.
So you maintain this accent.
That's cool.
I
love it.
But not anymore, because people travel now all over the place. My business travel all over.
So now you're in the United States.
Yeah.
Port of entry, New York.
Yeah.
Big city.
Big city. Crazy city.
What did you do? You got off the bus.
That's the thing. You get out there and stand in New York and say, "What do I do?"
Yeah. So what did you do?
Well, I was staying with my cousin who brought me. She was with her family, or not family really, but people, very close friends. which was good in Barbados. We maintained some very close friendship with that family. I still remember the little kids that I played with, 5 and 6 years old. I talked to them, not well, all day we would chat. But we grew up now as old people, but we still stay together.
Yeah.
We maintain the closeness. So she stayed with some friends there, and I had to find a place to find some, some make some income.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I find that every place I tried to work or school, I really wanted to go back to school, and I had to have citizenship, and I didn't have it. So one of the things that enabled me to have the citizenship is to get into the military. Mm-hmm. So the phone is going to bother you. Maybe put it in the hole into the slots. Okay. I don't want to answer it. So
we just take until it stops ringing. Yeah, you're a branch of the armed forces.
Yeah.
And
I knew so little of anything. I was such a dummy, I'm lucky to have lived as long as I have because I didn't know anything. I didn't have anybody to tell me anything. And then people that I knew didn't know anything.
You're very intuitive. You're a survivor.
Oh yeah, I'm a survivor. Because I never let anything bother me. I never felt that thing was too much for me. I came to this big old country. I didn't know what. I tried to talk like a American, and I met this black guy, and I said, how you doing, man? And he said, where you from? Yeah. Words. He recognized exactly. I know, and I thought I was speaking American.
This South Barbados.
Yeah. So, I heard about these three offices, the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy. And I decided to go and look for them. And the first office I got, there were three of them pretty close together on the same property. And I went in the first of the Air Force.
Alphabetically.
Well, it just happened to be in a place. Yeah, well, you're right. It just happens to be the first one.
Comes before Army.
So, you're right. It's at first. So I met these guys, and I think I spoke intelligently. For some reason, I may have impressed them, and I don't know why, because I felt so stupid. And I spoke to them, and I gave them my best Bajan accent. Then saw that I had my green card. So this man, yeah, we need you. Mm-hmm. So I felt important when they told me that. So they took me. He was a recruiter. He needed people. So I got on a train and went to Wisconsin. So that's where the first place they sent me. So what's the name of that place? Anyway,
is it close to the coast, or was it?
No, it was England, but it was no. How could I possibly forget that?
Edwards Air Force Base.
No, that was in. No, this was actually in Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin. Oh, I know where.
Yeah, in Wisconsin. Kirkfield or something. Anyway, I'll think of it.
Yeah.
And in my age now, the one thing I'm losing, I haven't lost my hair, but I've lost my memory.
I think you do pretty darn good. We know where that Air Force. I can't think of the name of it either.
Isn't that something?
But it's north of.
But how could I ever forget it? That's something.
It's north of Madison, south of Madison.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Right by.
North of Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah. Toma.
Firstfield. Well, there's a large town about 100 miles north of them, that I used to go to and party on the we used to party on the weekend. Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is that the Air Force. I was trying to think of the name of the Air Force, but the Air Force was in Madison, Wisconsin.
Uh-huh.
That's where it was. But I was thinking, I'm more focused on the name of the area the airport is.
Our camera person.
Burkfield or something.
What was the name of it?
Well, Toma area.
No, but I don't know, maybe the area. But
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I know
I think
because
about
they
it.
fly around there and stuff because one of Susan's daughters, their husband lived really close to that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's little towns around there. It's not too far from Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
That's the place we need to go to. Milwaukee is about within 100 miles of Madison. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah.
I used to drive there.
Uh-huh.
And I bought this little car for $75.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, I seem to be the only guy in the crowd, the stupid one in the crowd that owned this car. So they used to load the car down to go to Wisconsin because that's where they had all the people, the people that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
More than like Madison. Madison was a nice town. They didn't do very much. So I read a lot, always had parties and so on. And they had a lot of stuff for the airmen or the military people. And anyway, I had this little car I bought cheaply, and one day I was coming back from Madison, luckily, from Wisconsin, and I just gave up. And I had to stop, and I put my little bag. I took my little bag out of the car, and I stayed up on the side of the street, and I had Madison. Oh. And it's so funny, in those days, you didn't have any problems. Military people didn't have any problems getting around. Yeah. You had a uniform on, and you stick your hand up and just stop and take it. Mm-hmm. This is so nice of them,
Fort McCoy? Fort McCoy?
No. I'll think about it. Berkeley or something. No, it would, if it popped into my head, it would come very easily.
We'll look it up later.
Yeah, I have fun. Yeah.
At least you knew where it was.
At least I know I can find it. I know if I have it. So anyway, that's the part of my life that was there. And then they sent me up to, I left New York where it was cold and I said, man, it's so hard. We used to get up, we so love to get in New York.
So you warmed up in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I warmed up in Wisconsin. Then after that, they sent me to St. Paul, Minnesota, and it was cold as still. I can tell you, man, I remember getting up in the morning, you couldn't get the door of the barracks open because the snow had piled up against it. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the world are we doing here? It was interesting. It was fun.
Somehow or another, Los Angeles beckoned.
Yeah, well, I had a friend, my roommate, Robert Wilson. How could I not forget his name? And he lived in Wisconsin. I was about to get discharged from there, but he had another year to go. So he said, I'm going to tell my mother about you. He didn't say anything about her father. And I want you to go and spend time with her because she'd take good care of you. So I said, okay, So I drove from Madison to Los Angeles. And I got to Los Angeles, so I said, you know what?
Now what?
So I found this little hotel. Well, actually, it was a motel, I think it's called it. And that's where I stayed for a while. So after a week or so, I be very careful with my funds because I didn't have anything to go on. And I'm there in a strange world, didn't know anybody. And then I said, look, let me call it Robert's mother. Because, I don't want to have anything to do with them, but I just wanted to know that I'm here, since Robert would have told them that I was there. Yeah. So I go up and knock on the door, and she looked up and said, Romeo, we were looking for you a week ago. Where were you? Where were you worried about you? But they didn't have cell phones and things like that. You keep in touch with people, So she couldn't find out where, and I felt so bad about it. And I decided I'd stay there for a while. In the meantime, I started looking for work, So luckily, before there's a lot of places between when I was a kid and when I left Barbados. But before I actually left, I was working in this newspaper thing called The Advocate. I was drawing, I had this art thing, and it took me to draw cartoons and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So when you stay in a place like that, unlike America, you stick in one little place in America, and that's what you become a specialist in that area, in that time, I had to learn a lot of the newspaper work.
Yeah.
In addition to playing, I had to learn the thing. So, and it was very ancient way of doing things. But anyway, I got to, well, before that, remember I told you about the place with the devil's jacket.
It was cold in New York.
That was cold in New York, and I swore I'd never go back to New York. It was headed for Los Angeles. But it got so cold, and I'm walking the streets of this place called Jamaica. It was Jamaica Boulevard, really.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these warm jackets. Man, they look so warm. And I just got a little job, paying me hardly anything. And I was standing there looking. I had no plans to buy anything, but the guy walked out. He came around the way and he said, "Hey, son, what are you looking for?" I said, "Well, I see a jacket that they want to purchase. I have to. I can't give you the money now. I got to pay for it, terms or whatever." So he said, "Yeah, come on in." He put the jacket on me, boy. It felt so good. And I spent ages, weeks, I don't know how long, working and saving money to get a jacket. I went back in. I went in and with it because I was looking every time I passed there. Look at my jacket. Yeah. Well, it wasn't mine because hopefully they put it away. And he put some jacket on me, which was called in those days Ike jacket because I used to wear those things and it was short. Mm-hmm. And he put the jacket on me now with this smile. I said, "Well, this is not the jacket." He said, "Oh yeah, you forgot. This is the jacket you got from me." And so he charged me the same thing he would charge for the long, beautiful long coat. And what can I say? I can't tell the police. I can't tell anybody. So I just walked out with a jacket. But it was better than nothing.
Yeah.
So what else? So that skip between New York and Los Angeles. What else? What's one more?
Well, you ultimately came to work at Hughes Aircraft, and that's how we met.
Right.
Well over 50 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And you had a background in photography from the newspaper.
Very little, but I had them impressed. I had them fooled.
Yeah. you just nodded. Well, let me ask you.
Because you see, I went into this. I saw a big newspaper ad for photographer.
Yeah.
I was not qualified to be a photographer. But what they said, they needed someone who knew photography to work in the back, which is good.
Yeah.
With all the stuff they had to do. So I started telling them my background in photography, in making the plates and so on for photography, and actually created my own what they call emulsion, which is a sensitive part of film. And that was impressive because they didn't know what I exactly was talking about, but it made a lot of sense.
That's I'm surprised you're overqualified.
Yeah. So they sent me to meet this big boss, so I came in and they had him food. And so they hired me.
Yeah. And how long you wound up working for the company?
Oh yeah, I worked there for 30 years.
Yeah.
But the thing about what's so funny is that I had taken some courses in Houston, West Wisconsin for a long time. I learned a lot and had pretty good in the University of Wisconsin. That was one of the good things that I enjoyed. But when it went to the interview, surprisingly, the guy came back during the interview. Well, the interview had not long finished anyway, but he said, well, we found that you had some very good records of Wisconsin. In other words, that's what helped me, I guess, again.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you went to college, you know, so to
Yeah.
speak. That was fooling them again.
That's good.
You went to college, so we're gonna hire you. You know, or I don't know if that's the reason.
Well, it helps.
But there was one more, you know,
Sure.
one more block,
Sure.
one more pin in my whole curtain.
It'd be kind of remiss to leave out a portion of your life between those last two milestones, right?
Yeah.
And that's like the birth of your two beautiful sons.
Yeah. Yes, I was very, very fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fortunate. The thing is that I changed more diapers on them than their mother did.
Yeah.
Really, I have really had more to do with. She took care of them. I'm not saying that. When she was going out, she had them dressed down, man. Because, man, these are my two kids, you know, and she had them dressed. But when they came home, I'm the one who changed diapers.
Well, you had all this printing experience with the photography and the paper.
So I used to take them down to Hughes and show them around. So.
Now, Gary's the oldest?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Richard.
Yeah, Richard.
Great guys.
I think so, but I don't know. I have guys that are just as great.
Yeah. No, I've met them, and I know. Yeah. Let me ask you: is there anything that you would like to add? This is.
I'll think about it when you leave.
When I leave, I got a list of some questions here. Of what decade of your life was the best? This is an interesting question. I mean, you've spanned 9 decades.
Yeah. 9 decades on the earth. Went around the moon, went around the sun 90 times.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think the most beautiful period of my life that I can recall now is when I got married and I got a home and I worked in the home and built it up and built on a room. A lot of the work I did myself. I don't know what I could say about myself, but I thought I was very handy with tools. I always worked beyond my abilities. I was pushing myself. So anyway, I wanted to add on this room, and I had a contractor come in, and he had to draw the plans. It was very important in the city when you build something, you got to have plans that are well built, well drawn. And I decided I would do all the electrical wiring, but I had to have a plumber, I had to have a roofer, I had to have several different things, and they all had these long papers that I had to sign and so on and take to the city.
Yeah.
You know, and I took these papers in, and I always remember the headquarters was in England, and I showed the guy what I had, and he went over them, and he said, "Okay, I see you got a plumber. Where's the electrician?" He said, "I am." He looked at me and said, "Okay." Well, I knew at the time that if you're going to work for yourself, you can't become your own electrician. You can't go out and hire me to do it for somebody else, but you can do it for yourself. He said, "Well, if you're going to be there, we're going to send somebody every day to check on you." I said, "Okay." And they came in. Every time I moved something, they came in and said, "Before you do this, now call me." You know, so I did. And eventually it got down to the point where he said, "Look, you know what you're doing, man. Call me when you're finished."
That's cool. Now, you bought a home in Ladera Heights. I remember helping you move.
Yes.
And one of the incredible things about it, that was $100,000 home.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
$100,000
That
home
was
in those days.
It's a lot of money. Over $1 million.
Like over $1 million today.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful home.
My first house was a few miles away from there. Place on the Fox Hills. Anyway, Ladera has the next one. So after I added on that room, which I needed because my kids were going there.
Yeah.
I paid $28,000 for it, and I sold it for $60,000. So during that time, I was I got into real estate. I sold real estate.
Yeah.
Tried to build some money here and there. And I got into this area, and I started looking around for a house, and I happened to pass through Ladera Heights, and I love the homes. Man, these are beautiful. But can I own one? I said, okay, yeah. And I talked to the person I saw this house for sale, so I called the broker and I called him up and said, I'd like to see if I can buy this house. He said, let's go and look at it. And I took my wife with me at the time. That's another story, man. Anyway, we went in, and I didn't have, I didn't have enough money, but all they had, they still have, I had 60, but probably 60,000, 70,000. I still needed a second, and surprisingly, the owner said, "Oh, no, don't worry." After talking to him, I had him all fooled,
Yeah.
And he took the second, and I was able to move into the house.
Yeah, what a beautiful house.
I thought it was nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
My wife, I don't want to say anything negative about my wife, and I'm lovely. She's a lovely lady. She has a lot of beautiful things about her that I love to this day. So I'm not. It's not that I was going to bad talk or anything, but she got the house, and after I moved in, she said, "You could have bought a bigger house," And I'm thinking to myself, where will I get the money from? Well, the people move into these things and they're able to get the money. You didn't force yourself enough, because she started picking at things. No house has everything perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, she drove me crazy. That made me so. That's one of the worst parts of my life. But anyway, I was married. I had 2 kids.
That was one of the questions here. What was the worst part of your life?
Well, that was the worst part of it. When I had to, after working so hard and being so happy with this house, to have her come back and just throw cold water and everything. But I learned to deal with it. I mean, it was not a big deal.
It made me happy. What a beautiful
It made me happy.
What a beautiful
I mean, and when I think about it, there's a little boy in Barbados that in this little house that he was born in.
Yeah.
And here I am in this big $1 million house, and I thought to myself, I have a right,
I thought you'd had it when they took the inner tube away. It's a pretty long story since then.
Yeah.
That's dynamite.
So anyway, I stayed there, and I did a lot. I redid the kitchen. I did a lot.
You put up that beam all by yourself. You put up this. I said, wow, how many guys did it take? I did it myself. Yeah, how did you? Well, I put up one side, and I went over and I put up the other. It's a big beam.
A long beam, and you have to have a beam to hold the roof. All these, what do you call it, 4x5s that come down from holding the roof up.
Yeah.
You had to set down on something.
Yeah.
Because if you knock down the wall with all the supports, you got to find something to support. And I knocked down the whole wall.
Yeah. You can't stand there like this.
I can't. So I put a lot. I got a lot of 4x5s, and I propped the whole ceiling up all over the place. I did all this from pure intuition, So I got it all propped up, and I'm holding my breath now.
Yeah.
And knocked the whole thing out and put a counter up. But in other words, before I get to that, I had to get this huge beam. I think it was about 8x4 or something.
I remember it.
Great long beam.
I think the squirrels were still living in it.
Yeah, well, I think it was more than 100 pounds. It was about 103 pounds or something like that. And I put that thing on my shoulder, and I stood up get up on the ladder, not on the, but I had some platform or something, and I push it in place, and then knock it in, and then I hammered it in, and then I put the beams that sat on that would sit on supported by the wall.
Yeah.
I put that support on that long beam.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so happy when I got that in place, and the ceiling was still standing.
This is the most detail I've heard. Because when I asked you about it, I put that side up, and then I put that side up.
Well, I couldn't do. I had to put the whole thing in at one. You know, I had
it
to
makes
place.
more sense.
Yeah, I had to place. Yeah, the beams open up there. I had to measure where it would go. You know, so by the time I got to put the beam in, it went right in because I had it all measured. So I had that thing on my shoulder, and I eased it, and I pushed it in place.
It was great.
You know,
it was great.
Yeah.
I'm still impressed with the wiring job. It is.
Yeah. Well, man. So it's a it's a very exciting life, and I think of it. But I took it all for granted at the time. You know, and nothing was too much for me. I felt that I could do anything. That's the whole thing. I remember one time I was talking to the guys at Hughes. At that time I was early in Hughes. Yeah. And I get to a bunch of guys there that I was talking with, and one guy was one black guy there. And I was telling, man, I just bought this house, not in Adara Heights, that was at the other place. Mm-hmm. In Fox House. Anyway. Oh, my brain is gone. Anyway, the house was about, several miles, well, it was just a few blocks away from Crenshaw. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the first house I bought. The Merck Park? No, but that was. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know what town it was. I've been spoken about this thing for so many years. Now that I'm talking to you, I don't remember. It's been such a long time that I talk to anybody about that. So, anyway, I was telling, man, I just bought a house in the Merck Park, I think it was. The Merck Park? Okay. Well, Ladera. Yeah. That was Ladera Heights. Yeah, Ladera Heights. Yeah, but that was not the one. That's not the one you're talking about. That was something. Yeah. So anyway, he said, well, isn't that west of Crenshaw? I say, yeah, it's west of Crenshaw. He said, man, no black people, they don't give black people houses in that area. I mean, see, that's the mindset from some of these people. Yeah. The mindset that pulls them down, drives them down. Yeah. And he said, no, they don't give anybody any, no black people in that area. And indeed, there were no black people there. But it never occurred to me that it had anything to do with it. I see the house and I wanted it. Yeah. That was the one before the Dare Heights. Yeah. So anyway, he tried to come. I started questioning myself. No, is that where it is? So anyhow, I didn't take him on. Eventually, that went away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't realize. I knew some of the friendliest people. I got there and. Anyway, there's some of the nicest people around me. I mean, on one side there was a Jewish guy, and I don't know who the others were, but we talked all the time. Mm-hmm. We chatted, and the boys grew up there, and they get to know the guys, and it was a nice neighborhood. Yeah. And eventually, black people moved in. Yeah. Eventually, over time. But it was a very interesting life.
Tell me about your painting. When did you start that?
My paintings, some of them are very old now because I started them years ago. This one is about over 20 years old. And I don't remember when the people from Haiti were falling out of the boats, but trying to get to Florida from Haiti, and they had the old shacks, that couldn't make it, and half of them drowned. But I remember there I just painted that just on my own thoughts of what it was all about.
And what is this one?
Yeah, it's an old one. I started a new painting because I had not painted black and white like that before. That was one of my first ones. And then I painted over here with those people singing and praying. This is my religious background, I suppose. And below that is another group of people. I call it Sunday morning. Um,
I like the one of you, the self-portrait over here.
oh yeah.
Yeah, with a slingshot. You
You
gotta see that one. It's a self-portrait.
Are these yours too?
Yeah, those are just big. That's the only one. Well, let me see if I can explain this. Because you gotta remember, that's another Barbados rock. You see more rocks around it. So, and this is the town of Bridgetown, where that's a painting that I had father and son. And that one with the four ladies, I just painted that and see if you notice that this is the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So I'll give you the story on that. So some lady in Italy um, called me as a result of my website. And she said, "I'm a writer, and I would like to have your painting." And she explained it because she saw it for my cover of my book. I says, "Okay." And she said, "I'm going to send you a copy as soon as I get them printed." I said, "Yeah, sure." But I did give her a copy, and for nothing, I just told her to use a copy. And finally, I got up in one day on my website, on my mailbox, and there was a. But the funny thing about this is that the only thing I can read in it is my name. Yeah.
Tell
I don't understand a thing in the book. So,
What about that one?
which one?
The
Oh, the one that I painted. I got a first prize for that. Would you like me to move the stuff from around it?
No.
Or?
I'll just reposition myself.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay. I didn't know you could see him there.
Yeah,
Anyway, I got a first prize and I'm very proud of it.
absolutely.
Yeah, pause.
Pause it?
Yeah.